10 years and $39 million in private funds, and today it's a reality. This morning in Lexington, community leaders gathered in the Central Bank Center parking lot for the official groundbreaking of the new 11-acre Town Branch Park.
WKYT's Garrett Weimer and photojournalist Arnell Crenshaw talked to nearby businesses about new possibilities and what's needed to safely pull in more customers.
With one crack of the pavement, this is the beginning of Lexington's Town Branch Park. By the summer of 2025, this asphalt behind the Central Bank Center will flip into an 11-acre green space. The park will be connected to the Town Branch Trail and will feature a 4,000-seat amphitheater, water play area, dog park, and other amenities. Allison Langford, the executive director of Town Branch Park, has been working on the project since 2016.
It's unbelievable. I don't know if it's fully sunk in yet.
Langford says the creation of Town Branch Park is an opportunity for visitors to see other parts of the city.
I think you'll see a lot of foot traffic between the park and the Distillery District and the park of kind of the core of downtown and Main Street.
The Distillery District begins on Manchester Street, located across the street from the new park. Over the last 15 years, bars and restaurants have been established on the corridor, as well as a new hotel that opened back in June. But the street is popular with big trucks, and people who work in the area say as of now, the sidewalks are not well lit at night, raising safety concerns for added foot traffic.
We are actively having conversations with our partners at the Department of Transportation, talking about ways that we can increase safety and lighting and make it a more walkable experience.
Andrew Bishop is the owner and operator of Ethereal Brewing, located in the Distillery District.
There are some larger trucks that do come down this way. They're usually done before dinner time, when we would probably see the most foot traffic come this way. But I think they've done a better job in making it a safer walk.
Bishop says he'd like to see more future investment in lighting throughout the Manchester Street corridor. In Lexington, Garrett Weimer, WKYT.
We contacted the city to see if enhanced lighting on Manchester Street is in the works. As of now, we have not received a response. Construction on the new Town Branch Park will begin soon. That is going to look so cool when that is finished down there.
It's a new chapter for Lexington, no doubt about it.